involved in the movie, actors, actresses, and so forth, and you have people come together and hopefully have the same desire, which is to make the same film, do the best you can, and get this whole thing over with, so to speak. But we had those individuals where I just never believed in a million years. I'm sitting there looking, listening, everything's working really well, and the next thing I know, someone has decided to quit after shooting about 80 to 90% of their scenes. So it turns you into a tailspin. You've got to go back, figure out what to do. I mean, do we alter the script? Do we shoot the scenes over? It's just problem solving all the time.
And what did you decide to do?
Well, it happened several times. Some individuals, we would go back, and as I said, we'd talk to them, and I had one individual, and once again, we don't want to bring up names, but we had
No.
we had to
No, thank you.
I can't do that?
No. We don't want to get into that.
No, what happened was it's just one of the things where the person decided not to continue, and it was a shock to me, and I literally had to sit and speak with the person through the door, coax him out, and this took a series of days. So when that happens, everyone else's schedule is off.
Sure.
So it just turns into a train wreck, and so the next thing you know, the seasons are starting to change, and you go on and on and on. So I started shooting this film in August of 1997, thinking that it would be a 6 to 8 week shoot.
Right.
Well, it took about 3 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
And that was this?
That's exactly right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yes.
But we didn't stop. It's finished, and it's out.
You saw it through.
Saw it through.
I get the sense that that's a theme, kind of, for you.
It
In
has
your
to be.
life?
I think that's the worst thing that could possibly happen, is to not complete a project as in a film, because number one, we go back to the business. I mean, you start spending money, and you get to the point where if you don't complete it, then you've lost everything. But if you spend a little bit more, you can complete. You at least have the opportunity of making your money back. But otherwise, an incomplete film gives you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's part of it. I mean, it's just perseverance. You've got to keep moving forward, and many times you look around and you think, why am I doing this? I don't want to continue. You start wondering, how do I get out of it? But the way to get out of it is to finish it.
Very interesting. What else can you tell us about this movie?
The movie is 2 hours, 17 minutes long, which is, I guess, what most people would consider a long film. But it's got depth in the sense of a basis of a story that the people, and I don't want to give away the whole story, but
No.
what we're talking about here is an individual that made a wrong choice in his life, and through that wrong choice affected the lives of many others, and ultimately destroyed these lives. So it isn't a movie about vengeance, as a lot of people think. It's just a movie about faith, fate, and choices that we all make in our lives.
How does it feel to actually create these stories from paper, or do you do most of your work on a computer, or how do you? Well,
I do now, and as you know, there's several different screenwriting programs out there. In the beginning, I did everything on a typewriter, I mean, the IBM Selectric or whatever, but I was encouraged, actually by my wife, to look into one of these programs, because I swore I would never ever use a computer to write a script with. But I did, and I'm spoiled now, and I just can't
do it
live
any
without
other
it.
way.
Right, I mean, now you're looking at, I can email a script all the way around the world in a matter of seconds, as opposed to having to have it copied, and you go to the Federal Express or some other courier, so it makes it very, very easy. So it is actually decent.
Okay. Hold on just a minute. I think we've got Johnny Zane that wants to say something here. Wait, did you want to say something, Johnny? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. What? Okay. Well, we need to take a commercial break, and we'll be back with Ivan Rogers. Thank you, Ivan.
It's a good feeling, but one thing I've also found out, that it really never ever turns out the way I originally had written it. To give you an example, with this script, because of some of those elements I discussed in the picture itself, or just the problem factor with some of the talent. The script turned out pretty different from when I started off, but much better. I'm actually not happy about the way it turned out in the sense of the problems with the talent, but I'm very happy with the way the picture turned out in general, just because, as I said, it's a little different. And then you get out there and I ask my actors and actresses to just offer me choices. And when they bring it to me that way, I have other ideas just by seeing the character actually in the flesh. And the paper is one thing, but reality tells you that sometimes it has to be another way. So it's still a good feeling, though, as I said, to start off looking at it on paper and then finally see it up on the big screen. It's great.
Yeah. And then do you sneak into the different venues? And
oh, I do, yes. It's sometimes, well, not sometimes, it's all the time uncomfortable, because there's always someone that either likes the picture or doesn't. So you walk in and you sit there and you can hear somebody in the background go, God, this is the worst picture I've ever seen. So you got to sneak out, or everybody's clapping, they love the film, so it just depends. So I'm either there when everybody's happy, or if they're not, I just kind of sit there and squeeze down in the seat and try to not be seen.
What is that like for you? What do you go through? What are your thoughts when?
I don't enjoy watching myself. It's a very difficult thing, because, as I said, having to direct myself is a very difficult thing, and
I would
it's
think
just
that would be extremely difficult.
It is, and it really works out for me because I have strong support on set. In other words, I can sit and speak with certain people as in my first AD. We discuss where I want to go with the scene or a particular shot if I'm in the scene, and he's very instrumental in getting me in and out of those situations. So I'll do what I have to do. He knows where I'm going along my path, and when he sees that I get there, then he'll call cut for me. So it's tough in one respect, but I have to do it because, I mean, I've made this decision.
And so you wear all of these hats.
Yes.
And is there ever been a time that it's been difficult for you to make that distinction?
Well, yes. Once again, we went back to the discussion of this being a business. I'm out there, and camera, crew, cast, everybody, and we talk about a particular shot or a particular scene that I would like to get, and if it takes too long, once again, I'm looking at the cost. I mean, you're looking at film stock, you're looking at a schedule that you're perhaps on in terms of how many pages you have to get shot in a day. So I'm wanting to get the best I possibly can in front of the camera up on the screen, but sometimes money dictates that you stop and you move on to the next thing. So sometimes you're wrestling with the head of a businessman and then the heart of an artist. It's the producer sometimes fighting the director and having a problem with the talent. So
do you ever fight with yourself?
Those times, I guess, where I won't come out of my trailer.
Yeah, right.
So the producer's fighting with the director, and we can't get along. So that is a little awkward, but there is sometimes that wrestling match, emotionally, mentally, where you would really like to do something else, but business dictates you do the right thing.
And what constraints do you have, in other words, in regards to that? Do you have pretty much creative freedom, or you say the business, so it sounds to me like they're kind of self-constraints?
Well, I think about things, we'll go to ratings. You have to ask yourself, what kind of a movie am I going to make, and who am I making this for? Am I intending to make an R-rating film? Am I going to make a film that's G, PG, 13, or whatever? So you must get all of those shots that will allow you to get what you need. So we set out to make an R-rated film, which is what we have. And in terms of the other constraints, we're looking at the cost of film stock. You only have so much film to shoot. You run out of film, no more movie. So it has to be budgeted, it has to be planned. Your schedule has to be put together because you only have so much time at a particular location. And we would go back to the other discussion about some of the problems is in having a whole cast and crew driving toward a location. You've got this army, and they show up and there's nobody there, and you can't get in.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Or what about weather? Has that been a consideration in some of your movies?
Weather is a consideration, simply because going over schedule, you're looking at continuity. You start shooting a particular time of year, you go on too long, the next thing you know, shooting in Indianapolis, which is where we shot some of the film, it starts to snow. You have a continuity problem, so you either have to stop or you move the whole production to another location.